good name. Say what you like, just spell my name right. Yeah. Say what you like, just spell my name right.
What's up? This is Shad with Exclaim, and I'm here with Shad. Shad, hi. First off, big fan. First question I wanted to ask was, you don't do a lot of your online stuff. You don't like do your own Twitter or your own Facebook group. Tell me about that. Tell me about like kind of why that is. You know what? That's a really interesting question. I'd say that the reason why I don't do too much online is because I don't really know how to sort of communicate with people necessarily online. I can express myself through music and be kind of comfortable with that. So I think for a minute I'm going to sort of like stay off that. Also, I don't have a phone that goes on the internet. But once I get a phone that goes on the internet, and once I have my head around, the 140 character format, then maybe I'll hop on there. Moving on, like more personal question. A lot of people have told me about you that like you're just a really nice guy. So like tell me, like, does that make it difficult sometimes? Like, sometimes you get really upset, you just want to vent, but you can't? Yeah, again, that's a brilliant question and a great shirt. I would say that it's I'm glad people find me nice and pleasant, and yeah, I don't know. I don't find life too difficult really, so I don't complain too much, and I don't ever get that frustrated. But who knows? Life could change, and I could become a very bitter, angry person, and I hope people will be able to kind of be understanding. All right, that was a brilliant answer. Last question, kind of a two-part question. Firstly, tell me about how your crowd is changing, or if it's changing nowadays when you play live. And second part to that question, although it's a bit of a separate question, is tell me, is it hard to manage, because your musical persona is Shad, which is just your name on a day-to-day basis. That's, who you are. And it is kind of closely related, kind of, I think, to who you are as a person. So, like, tell me, is that difficult to manage, kind of the relationship between those two things? Is there pressure there? Is it, is it tough to, to just sort of navigate that? Yeah, it's interesting seeing, I would actually say my crowd doesn't change in the sense that everyone is kind of the same age that they were always, whereas, like, I change, and, yeah, so, I mean, that's been kind of interesting to see and cool to see. But, yeah, I mean, the fan base definitely changes. People know you off the internet and off of TV, when as before they knew me because, I don't know, they grew up with me or they're friends of a friend or something like that. So, yeah, so that's been changing, and that's been actually just cool to see. As far as, like, my musical persona, if I was smarter at some point, I probably would have started out with a different name than my name musically. But I think, whenever I wrote rhymes, always I just refer to myself as Shad, and it was always just kind of like that sort of vibe. So it always just made sense, and to be honest, I'm kind of comfortable with that now, and I sort of like the challenge that it puts on me to sort of to be myself and to be real. It's like I find it's like a positive challenge in my life. So, Shad, thank you so much for that. That was amazing. Probably the highlight of my life. So, I mean, just meeting you and being with you and seeing how good looking you are and everything was awesome. Thank you. Yo, thanks, Shad. I appreciate you taking the time. And your questions were amazing and brilliant, and it's always a pleasure to hang around you and to see you.